Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Saturday the 9th of November. Well, I've just done a 20-minute video, pressed the wrong button and it's not recorded. So this video would have been out a little bit earlier than it is. Oh dear me. So this one hasn't started well already. I'm so frustrated by that. So anyway, let me get into Saturday. So I really like the look of the bets that I've had. It comes to £28.90. If you want to follow me in, make sure you check the selections for yourself because if the bets don't come anywhere, we take responsibility for placing his own bets. So I'm giving you the selections that I'm having. You decide for yourself if you want to copy me or just nick some of them. It's up to you. So I'm going to start very briefly with the football bet. I'm not going to elaborate on this. It's a £7 over 2.5 goals treble. So the first match is Wolverhampton versus Southampton. The second match is Leeds versus QPR. And the third match is Birmingham versus Northampton. They are all 3 o'clock kickoffs on Saturday, November the 9th. And it's also a £3 over 3.5 goals treble. The same matches. So let me get into the horse racing, which I've just waffled on about for about 20 odd minutes, and it's absolutely killed me, and I've got to do it all again. So they are 3 5-pence each way, lucky 63s. I have actually duplicated in some of the bets horses twice. So the first bet is I started basically going through the card at Kelso, adding horses that I like the look of, and I finished off going through the Aintree meeting. So the first selection in the 5-pence each way, lucky 63. If it wins, it gives us an okay start. If it doesn't, we've got 5 more chances to bag a big one. Bag a big one. Anyway, first selection is Tommy's Law at 130 in the 10 past 11 race at Kelso. That's trained by Lucinda Russell. I do believe she had a decent meeting last year. She's very good at Kelso. She's got a number of runners tomorrow as well, and I think she should have a pretty decent day. 130 is not great for each way, but if it wins, it's a nice little start. The second selection is Romeo Brown at SP in the 7 minutes past 12 race at Kelso. This is a front runner that's not been in the best of form for quite a while now, but I think its last run wasn't that bad. I do believe if he gets an easy lead in front, it could be very difficult to pass. And I always remember the jockey saying that. I think it was Thomas Wilmot ages ago, 2 years ago when it won at Adoc. He says he getting a squeeze, it just kept on finding and finding, and he said he really liked the horse. I know we've heard that so many times, but it did win a very competitive race. I think it was at 20-1 at Haydock in bottomless ground. It's not bottomless at Kelso tomorrow, but it is a track where I think it favours front runners or hardy front runners, and this is certainly one of them, and I think it's got a decent chance. The third selection is Glyn Bray at 13-2 in the 12:20 at Aintree. So this selection, I've gone for this because it's got previous hurdles form, where some of these haven't. Don't get me wrong, I think some of them have probably got taller reputations, but they can soon get undone once they've started jumping hurdles, or when push comes to shove and the legs turn to jelly on their seasonal reappearance over obstacles rather than on the national flat. This horse has ran on the national flat. I can't remember if it won. I think it did actually. But its most recent run was a winning run at Stratford over hurdles. I think it will have learnt from that. It's got more experience than most of these. As I said, there's probably some taller reputations in the race, but they'll be put to the test now these other horses are over obstacles for the first time. The fourth selection is Break Dance Kid. I've left the price in the 12:42 at Kelso, paying 4 places instead of 3. I think this is the Stuart Coulthard horse. I think it's got a decent chance. To be fair, about an hour ago since I selected it, take a look for yourself if you fancy it. I think it's got a decent chance, and that's it about that one. The fifth selection is Magical King. I've left the price in the 1:30 at Aintree in the Pertemps Network Handicap Hurdle, paying 4 places instead of 3. So I looked at this horse because I went through the results of last year, and I found it quite interesting that the trainer and jockey have got are this trainer and jockey combination are the same trainer and jockey combination that won the race last year with Gentleman at Arms. How do I know that? Well, I've just looked at the results section, but how do I definitely know that? Is because I tipped it last year. So last year, I think it was bad ground, and they removed something like 4 or 5 hurdles, so it turned it into like a 3 hurdle race. It was ridiculous. The ground was really bad, and a lot of the races turned into, like, in my opinion, hands and heels races because the ground was that bad. They were just nursing them round. So Magical King, it's not the ground's not that bad tomorrow, but I find it interesting the fact that Stuart Edmonds and Kieran Gethins have got sorry, have got a runner tomorrow. The next selection is Gaboriot or Gaboriot at 7-1 in the 240 at Aintree in the Grand Sefton, paying 5 places instead of 3. So this horse is trained by the same trainer that won the race last year, Oliver Greenall, and is it Josh Guerrero? They've got this selection. Well, I've noticed that this owner has had a horse run at Aintree in the past over these fences. I can't remember if it was this race 2 years ago and it unseated rider. So I'm thinking that this owner might have said to this trainer, right, get me a horse, I want to win this race. So this horse is a very odd horse because it's been running Hunter Chasers. It has been winning quite a few. Even in handicap chasers, it had a bit of a prolific spell. I just find it interesting the fact that the trainer has got a runner in this race again. Also, the owner, I personally think this owner says, get me a horse where I can win this race. And if that's the case, I think this horse has got a decent chance. And that's it. The next bet is, as you're well aware, I'm really tired, especially after doing this video twice. 5 pence each way, lucky 63. So this is my stronger fancied each way, lucky 63. Like you could say the main bet, but I've only staked 5 pence each way. I'm probably gonna actually make it into a 10 pence each way one because it's the stronger fancied one. Normally I make it up to tenner by having something like an 8 pence each way, lucky 63. So if the prices don't change, I might cash out and make it into an 8 pence each way, lucky 63. So the first selection is Conquest of Power at 22-1 in the 11:45 at Doncaster, paying 4 places instead of 3. Well, I think there will be a draw bias tomorrow. Not huge, just slightly advantageous to horses on the straight course at Doncaster that race middle to far side. So that is basically low numbers. Yeah, and this horse, I think it's drawn 4, I think. So that should be over there. So the second selection is my nap of the day. It's My Mate Beatty at 9-1 in the 12:50 at Doncaster. This horse ran an absolute cracker at Leicester 2 runs back on heavy ground where it pulled hard. Well, it was keen, it led, and then it rallied, and then it was just touched off. I think that shows like real tenacity, and I think you'll need this tomorrow. I don't think the ground's dreadful at Doncaster, but it will be hard work. And this horse could be hard to peg back because it did post quite a decent racing post rating of 74 that day. Well, I think the favourite's only off 82. I don't mean off 82 as in official rating. 82 is a racing post rating that the favourites achieved so far. So it's not a million miles behind, and it could have an advantageous draw bias. Could. The third selection is Looking Splendid at 18-1 in the 1:15 at Kelso, paying 4 places instead of 3. This horse went clear with either the winner or with just the leader in its last run. I think it was at Kelso, and I think it blew up 2 out. It weakened quickly and pulled up. Be interesting to see where it would actually finish if they hadn't pulled it up. Well, it wouldn't have been that interesting, but I think it just blew up. So I think it'll strip fitter. There's so many question marks in on a lot of these horses in this race. There's two horses that are coming off first time wind operations or first time run after a wind operation. Another horse is coming off a reappearance of 600 and something days. All those three horses are less than 10 to 1, I believe. So I think this horse at 18 to 1, if it's prominent, there could be a number of horses that are struggling behind, and hopefully this horse this time strips fitter and stays on a bit better. They're paying first 4, and I think it's got a chance. The fourth selection is Strong Bell at 14 to 1 in the 145 at Wincanton, paying 5 places instead of 3. This horse has been stepped up in trip. It's been campaigned over 2 mile, even on sharp tracks. I think it's stepping up to 2 mile 5 tomorrow. It's Twiston Davis, and I think it's got a decent chance. The fifth selection is Northern Spirit at 16 to 1 in the 235 at Doncaster, paying 5 places instead of 3. This horse is in cracking form. It disappointed last time, I think, because of the draw. Eventually, it raced far side at York. Far side is low numbers. This horse was drawn 16 that day, so it was drawn near side, but and it was slowly away, so it had to make the trek over to the far side. I think that was partly why it was well beaten that day. This horse has got a low draw at Doncaster tomorrow, and I think 16 to 1 is far too big a price for a Brian Ellison horse with a chance. And the next selection is Gustavian at 18 to 1 in the 330 at Wincanton, paying 4 places instead of 3. This is the Badger Beer handicap, and I think, well, I know that Anthony Honeyball is in outstanding form at the moment. The only horse out of this about 8 runners that has disappointed is the one I tipped last week when we could have got a very nice bet up. It was backed in from 6 to 1 to 6 to 4, but bear in mind there were a couple of non-runners as well. This is the race where I was frustrated because it turned into basically a 100-metre sprint. A 2 mile national flat race turned into a 100-metre sprint, and I think we came 4th of 6th. Bit frustrating, but yeah, Gustavian. What it was, it likes this distance, and it made a decent decent 3 or 4 runs this time last year, over this kind of trip. But then they brought it back in distance, and it disappointed. But now it's off a decent handicap mark because of what they did with it. As in, like, they ran it over, in my opinion, a distance too short for the last 3 or 4 runs of its season. I've lost the ability to speak. Its last 3 or 4 runs of last season, I believe it ran over an inadequate trip. That's why it's plummeted down the handicap, and it's off a very decent handicap mark now. Gavin Sheehan's on board, he's riding well, and Anthony Honeyball, as I've mentioned already, is absolutely flying. Finally, you'll be pleased to know that this is the final one, and this is the one where I've gone for some very big prices. I like the look of them. They've got sneaks, but keep the stakes small. So you will see that some of these have been repeated. So it's a 5 pence each way, lucky 63. Conquest of Parrot 22 to 1 in the 1145 at Doncaster. The second selection is Ganapathy. I've left the price in the 1242 at Kelso, paying 4 places instead of 3. And at the time, that was the outside of the lot. The third selection is Looking Splendid at SP in the 115 at Kelso, paying 4 places instead of 3. The fourth selection is Balmoral Lady at SP in the 120 at Doncaster. I did this in the previous video. I was about to say paying 4 places, but it's not paying 4 places, it's paying 3 places. This horse should benefit from the low number it's got. I think it's drawn something like 4, maybe 6 at worst. It's in outstanding form on bad ground, and I think if this horse goes to the front, points its toe, pins his ears back, Safi Osborne on board again. She rode it when it won last time. I believe she may well have had the choice to ride the 2 Ed Walker trained horses in this race. This is the outsider of the 2 as well. It's about 18 to 1, I think it is, but I think it's about 14s, but I think it could be bigger. So I've left the price for that very reason. The next selection is Northern Spirit in the 235 at Doncaster, paying 5 places instead of 3. And finally, Lord Melbourne, it's trained by Ralph Beckett. It's also got the favourite in this. This is in the November handicap, so it's Lord Melbourne. I've left the price in the 3:45 at Doncaster. The November handicap paying 7 places instead of 4. Shouldn't be too far off the pace. It won't make the pace, but it should be in about 5th or 6th, in my opinion, all the way round. It dropped back in trip last time. I don't think it wanted that. I think they did that deliberately to retain its. I think it's only gone up a pound. It could be off the same handicap mark, or it might have just gone up a pound. I think the distance of a mile and 2 was too short for it. It's generally been campaigned over a mile and 4 and a mile and 2, and I think its best form has been over a mile and 4. So therefore, its run last time over a mile and 2 was just to keep it ticking over without really punishing its handicap mark too much. And now I think it could be raring to go. And you've got Jack Doughty taking £5 off. So those are the selections for Aintree, Kelso, Doncaster and Wincanton. So I'm going to make sure I press the right button. So have a cracking day. Let me know what you think. So Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.